So today we're going to work on one of my sites called echotarot.com, and it is currently an affiliate site, but I'm working on building this site into a full-blown brand. And believe it or not, this is my blog page. So when somebody clicks on this blog here, they will land on this page. Now let me show you behind the scenes. So as I go to pages, you can see that this blog page over here, this is basically a blank page I've created. Let me click on edit to show you that this is a blank page. So as you can see here, this page shows your latest posts and there is no design whatsoever. And here we go. This is echotarot.com/blog, which is this page. But how do I get from a blank page to this where I have a call to action here? I show the top categories, and if I click on one of them, it brings me to the section. And finally, if site visitors want to view the latest articles, which are the usual stuff you find on the Blogroll, they can click on this button and it will bring them here, where there is the pagination. By default, the Blogroll page will look like this. So I'm going to walk you through step by step on how I turn this boring Blogroll page into a highly functional page like this. And the thing is, once you know how to do this, you can literally build something like this for all your category pages. Such as if you go to posts and categories, and as you can see, these are all the categories on my website, and if I view one of them, you'll see this boring Blogroll of this category. Some teams might classify this as archive pages. So once you got the knowledge from this video, you can transform all these boring pages into something that grabs your site visitors' attention. So without further ado, let's get started. Hey, this is Jack, and if this is your first time on my channel, I focus a lot on WordPress tutorials with Gutenberg blogs, and my main focus is to help you get a site speed of 90 plus on Google PageSpeed Insights without sacrificing on page design. And if that is your goal, then subscribe, and I hope to constantly bring value to you. So before we get started, I hope you can smash that thumbs up button and leave a comment down below your thoughts on this tutorial. I hope I have covered every aspect of customizing your Blogroll and category pages. And as the video title suggests, you need to install the Kadence Pro theme as well as the Kadence Blocks Pro plugin if you want to follow along with this tutorial. I'm going to walk you through step by step from start to finish how I built this page out without missing a single step. If you don't have the Kadence Pro plugins yet, you can use this link to get the latest discounts. I've left the link in the description as well. So without further ado, let's start the process. So we are on a WordPress dashboard, and I'm assuming if you are to build a custom blog page or category page, your website should already have some content and you have set your theme design, you have made some changes to how your regular Blogroll looks like. So I won't go too deep into the theme customization. For my site, the default Blogroll looks like this. My featured image is optimized for Pinterest, and that's why it is so large. But anyway, let's get rolling. First things first, in case you don't have a blog page yet, you need to go to pages and add new. And then you'll give your page a name, for example, blog or maybe Blogroll or whatever name you want it to be, it doesn't really matter. But take note that your header here affects the page URL. So if you go to this gear icon, which is the settings, and you go to permalink, you can see that this is your website / the header, depending on how your site structure your URLs. But by default, it should follow your page header, unless you decide to change it by removing, for example, this, and you see this changed. So the next thing you want to do is to just publish this blank page. It really doesn't matter if this is a blank page because you won't be editing anything here. You don't need to insert your latest post here. WordPress will do it automatically for you once you have done the right setting, which we are going to do in the next step. So you're going to hit publish if you don't have a Blogroll on your website. But for me, I already have one, so I will not publish this page. I just want to show you an example how we do it. And then once you've published this blank page, let's go back to the WordPress dashboard by clicking on this WordPress logo. And over at the settings, let's select reading. Let's put our focus on your homepage displays. By default, your latest post will be selected. So you need to select a static page. And then to make the blank page you have created as a Blogroll, over at the post page, you want to select the page you have just created. For my case, I've created a blank page called blog, which you will see over here. This is the absolute blank page. Once you have selected this as your Blogroll page, you'll see this. So as you visit this page, it will look like this. So now let's turn this into this. And the thing is, all you need to do is to design from this call to action section all the way to our latest blog post header. And from there on, this is our default Blogroll. So we're going to insert this entire section in between the page header and a Blogroll. And we can achieve that by hook elements. So I'm basically working on the Kadence Pro theme. And whatever theme you are working on, for example, WordPress or any other themes that offers the hook element function, you'll be able to do this. So let's get cracking. So now we are on the WordPress dashboard again, and to create a hook element, you need to go to Appearance and then Elements. And if you don't see this tab, you have to go to Kadence. You need the Pro version of the theme so that you can toggle this on. If this is toggled off, you will not see these elements here. So let's click on Elements. So I've already created one hook element for the Blogroll, but I've disabled it so that I can create a new element to show you step by step how to do it from scratch. So once you have clicked on Elements, let's go to Add New. And you'll come to a page like this. You'll be prompted with 3 options, but I will select default. But just in case you want to know, if you want an element to be fixed on your website, for example, you want an element to be fixed on the bottom right of your website, whenever you scroll, the element is still there, like a sticky sidebar or a fixed slider. As long as you want something fixed on your website, you select fix here. And for the codes, unless you are creating your element using HTML or CSS, otherwise, you won't be selecting this. Let's select default for this project. So let's give this element a name, for example, all categories. It really doesn't matter what name you give. This is just for your reference and it will not be shown anywhere on your website. Now, the next thing you're gonna do is to decide where this element will show. So to do that, let's go over here, the element settings. Let's click on this. And then over here under the placement, we want to select before all content. Because for the Blogroll, this is the content and we want to insert the element above the content. I'm not going to go through all this. Basically, you can hook elements before the header, after the header, or you can even replace a header. So if you design this to look like a header, you can actually replace it. But for our case, let's select before all content. And then the next setting is super important because if you don't set this display settings, this element will not show anywhere on your website, even if you hit publish. So let's click on this and then let's show on the blog page. But in case you want to show this hook elements on your entire site, is really up to you. So it will show on your entire site and above all content. So this will actually allow you to decide where this hook element will show. So let's select the blog page. And then just to show you a taste of hook elements, let me type in this sentence so that if this sentence show on a blog page, you know it's working. So let me publish this. And then let's go to the blog and refresh. And you'll see this sentence here. So let's quickly design this. This is a live page. I don't want my site visitors to think there is a bug. So let's get on with it as soon as possible. So let me remove this. Now, whenever I design a page with Gutenberg, I'd never like to rely on what's displayed here because that is not accurate. So usually I will do a split screen, and whenever I made an adjustment on the left, I will refresh the page on the right. That will give me a clear indicator what's on the live page. So the first thing we want to do is to click on this add block and let's select row layout. If you don't see the row layout here, all you need to do on the search box, type in RWO and you'll see this row layout here. Let's select this. Let's first select a 1-column row. And then to get to the settings of this block, let's go to this gear. Let's click on this. And then you want to make sure the block is selected. So this block settings represents this block that you have just added onto the page. So I will first go to structure settings and then I will toggle this on. This content max width inherit from theme. So essentially what this does is that we're adding a row layout over here, which is going to take up the full width. So if we toggle that on, whatever elements we add into the row layout will take the width of the content area, which you can see over here between this section all the way to here, because this is the max content width of my website. Anything out of the content width will be blank. So that's what this does. And then to make this row layout full width, we have to select this, change alignment, and then we want to select full width. Next, we want to add a header. So let's click on this add block and let's search for heading. Let's select this advanced heading and I'll type in my header. And then let me align center. Next, right below the header, I want to add a block over here. Now, in case you're not familiar with Gutenberg, you can actually check out all the layers at the bottom left of the screen. So basically, we have just set up a row layout, and by default, a section layer is stacked on top of the row layout, and we have just created an advanced heading block on top of the section layer. Now, understanding layers is the foundation of all page building. Web pages are built on layers stacking on top of layers stacking on top of layers. If you don't know what that is, let me take a little bit of time to explain this. So this is something really important for you to understand when it comes to building up pages. All web pages are built with layers. So let's say on the site we'll first start with the background layer, which are these two shapes. And because we need to add text and buttons on the left and an image on the right, we have to first add a layout layer with two columns on top of the background layer. This layer will be transparent on the page, but it will serve as a container for you to add elements to it. So to add a text on top of this layout layer, the text is considered a layer by itself and it is stacking up on top of the layout layer. The same goes for the button. And on the right, we need to put a yellow shape on top of the layout layer and then followed by the baby image that will stack on top of the yellow shape layer. So now that you understand the concept of layers, let's continue. Let's click on this add block here and not this because we want to add a call to action right after the header. So let's add block. Now I need to add a nested row layout. And then this time around, I will select two equal columns. On the left, let's add a block. Let's search for image. Let's add from my media library. For you can select any image from your media library. If not, if you want to use my image, I've left a link in the description for you to download. So I will select this image and click on select, and this will appear here. Next, on the right column, I want to add another block. I'll put in an advanced heading. I will click on this and to change to the smaller heading tag, which is H3, and then I'll type in my subheader. And then I'll add some text. And then let's hit enter on your keyboard to go to the next line. Click on add block. Let's browse all. And let's search for form. And this is under Kadence blocks as well. And then we don't want the message. So let's click on message and then remove field. And then since the form layer is selected, let's go to the settings. Now, if you want to remove this name, let's go to name settings. Let's toggle show label off. And you will not see the name here. But under the field placeholder, we want to put in first name. So this will give your form a more modern look. But it's really up to you how you like to design this. And if you want to make this field a required field, which means your audience need to type in something over here before they can hit submit, then you need to toggle this required on. And we're done with this settings. Let's close this off. And now let's go to the email settings. So the same thing, we want to toggle this show label off. And then in the field placeholder, I want to type in something like this. And then if you want to customize the button, let's click on that and type in the text. And then to change the style of this button, let's click on button styles. And then you can select either the button size to be large or medium. But for me, I will select medium. And for the button width, I want it to be full. So as I toggle this, you can see that the size of this button is taking the full width of this column. So we're basically done with this section. Let's update it and let's go to our live page and refresh and let's see how it looks. And here we go. I think the image is too big as well as the heading. And I want some padding over here. Now the thing is, I choose to have a white background for the row layouts because it blends with the header. So for me, when I design a web page, I will usually like the color of the header and the first section of the page to have the same color so that it blends. But this is really up to you. So now let's go to the WordPress editor to do some amendments. So as I click on the heading and I go to the font size, I want to change this to maybe 45. And for the subheading, I'll put this maybe as 35. And now I want to put some space in between the header and this heading over here. So now I need to explain to you the second most important concept when it comes to page building, which are the padding and margin. Now this is also a core principle you have to understand. So let's say this rectangle represents a layer on a web page, and then on top of that layer we have a text layer. So padding is basically the space between the borders of the rectangle and the text layer. So if you add, for example, a 30 pixels of padding on the left, it will shift the text layer a little towards the right. And if you add too much padding from the left and right, your text layer will be squeezed and it will not look very nice. You can also add padding from the top or bottom. If you add padding from the top, the text layer will move downwards and vice versa. So padding is basically the space within a layer. Now margin is a little different. It controls everything that is out of the rectangle layer. So for example, if you want to shift the rectangle layer down with all the elements in it, you will add margin from the top, and a rectangle with all the elements will shift down. The same goes for the other sides. But one important thing is with margin, you can have a negative value. But with padding, the minimum you can go is 0, because with padding, you can't control anything that is outside of the layer. You can only control the inner spacing. So for example, this rectangle is on position 0. If you want to shift it down, you add margin. But if you want to move it up, it is going to be a negative value. You can't shift this text layer out of the rectangle layer through the padding. I hope this illustration helps. So now that we understand the concept of padding and margin, let's add some padding over here. So let's click on this row layout layer because we want to add some space for the background layer, and this is the background layer. And let's go to padding and margin. From the top, we want to give this maybe 150 pixels, and at the bottom, we want to give it maybe 150 as well. And then for the image, let's click on that. Let's reduce the size to maybe 75%. And don't worry about this, as I mentioned, on the live page, it won't look like this. So let's update and refresh, and you'll see this looking much better. We have some space over here. The image is still a little big, and we have some space at the bottom. So let's reduce the size again to maybe 50%. Update, and as we refresh, it's looking much better. But I need to align this image to the center. So let's click on this and then change the alignment to center. Let's update, refresh, and this is looking better now. So we are basically done with the first section. I want to show you something interesting, which is the divider. So let's click on this row layout. We want to differentiate this section with the next section we are going to create. So we have selected the row layout layer. Let's go over to dividers. So as you can see over here, there is a bottom option and there's a top option. So if you select the top option, you're basically adding a divider design at the top of the row layout. And if you have selected the bottom, you're basically designing the divider at the bottom of the row layout. So let's select divider. Let's click on this. For me, I will select this. You can play around with other designs. And as you click it, it will not show yet because the divider color is white by default. So you need to select color and click on the color you want. So this is the color I've selected. You can use your theme color as well for consistency. And we are basically done with this section. Let's update again and refresh. And you can see this divider here. Now to connect this divider to the next section, the background color of our next section needs to be the same as the color of the divider. So let's create the next section. Over here, you can see this add block. Just to make sure that you're not designing on the previous section, let's click on this. And if you look at the layer, this is the new layer you have selected. And this is not stacked on top of the previous row layout. So over at this layer, we want to select this add block. Let's click on row layout. And let's select one column for the base. Let's do the same thing under structure settings. Let's toggle this on. And then over here, change alignment. We want to change this to full width. And let's set the background color. Let's go to background settings. And for the background color, we want to select the same color that we have used on the divider from the previous section. Now in the new section, let's add a header. Let's select advanced heading. Let's type in the header. You can't see any changes because the text is blended with the background. So let's select this heading color. Let's put this as white. And let's align this center. Now I want to add 3 info boxes right after the header. So I will need 3 columns over here. Let's click on this, add block, row layout. I want to choose this 3 equal columns. And then over at the first column, I want to add block. I will search for info. And you can see this info box here from Kadence blocks. Let's select this. For me, I will select this design. There are a total of 6 layouts you can choose from. So I will select this. Don't worry about the link for this. I will share with you how to create an anchor link later on. So we want to edit the title. So let's go to title settings. The title is too big. So I will put the font size as maybe 22. Let's add the title and then let's change the icon. So under media settings, let's remove this and select an icon. For me, I want my icon to be an image. So under media type, I'll select image and then I'll browse from my library. Similarly, if you want to use the image, the link is in the description. So I'll select this. Next, I want to add some animation to this image. So over at this image hover animation, let's select this. I will choose grayscale to color. So basically the image will start with grayscale, and as I hover over, you can see that the image turns to its original color. And then next, I want to change the hover for the image. So let's scroll down a little. So under hover, image hover border, I want to change the color to green. So as you can see, if I hover, the border color of the image will turn green. And then next, I don't need the text over here. So let's scroll down. Under text settings, let's toggle this off. Let's first update and see how it looks like right now. So this is what we want. And now let's duplicate another 2 info boxes. So let's select this info box. Let's click on this options and copy. And then over here, select paragraph, right click on the paragraph and paste. Over at the third column as well, select paragraph, right click, paste. So we have 3 identical info boxes. All we need to do is to change the content. Let's click on this. Let's go to the media settings and edit the media. I'll select this image. And then let's go to the third info box, do the same thing, media settings, edit media, and change the image. Let's select this, and we're basically done. Let's update and refresh. So this is how it looks like on desktop. Let's see how it looks like on mobile. It's looking good. Let's leave all the mobile optimization to the last part. And then let's add a button right below here. So we want to get out of the row layout of these 3 columns. So as you can see here, under the layers, we want to select a layer right here, but not on the row layout over here. We don't want to add to this. So as I click on this, you can see that I've selected the layer over here, which is right on top of the section and row layout layer. So let's add a button. Let's search for button. I'll select the advanced button. And then I'll style the button. Let's go to button settings. For the background color, I want to select the green color that I have for the theme. And then for the border color, I want to select the same color as well. And for the text color, I want to change it to white. And for the hover, the background color, I want to change it to the accent color as well as the border. So this is what I want. It's totally up to you how you want to design your button. And we're basically done with this section. Let us update and refresh. And here we are. We probably want to add some spacing over here as well as here. So let's go back here. Under the advanced button layer, let's go down to container margin. And then under the bottom margin, I want to put maybe 50. And at the top, I want to put maybe 50 as well. And let's update. And let's see how it looks like. I think this is just right. Now let's go to the next section. As you can see, I've clicked out of the black background and then I want to add row layouts and 1 column. Let's do the same thing. Structure settings, content max width, change alignment to full width. Now to have a smooth transition, we need the dividers again. And this time round, we'll edit the top divider for this new row layout we've added. So let's select dividers. Let's select top. Let's select a divider. Let's say it is the same. And then let's change the color that matches the background color of the previous section so that it blends as you can see. And next I want to add a header. Let's select advanced heading and let's align it center. Now for this new section, we want this to be linked to this info box. So as we click on this info box, it will direct the site visitors to this section over here. And I will show you how to do that in a while. So I want to add some top padding to this heading. I can either add the padding on this advanced heading layer, or I can select the row layout layer and go to padding and margin. At the top, I want to put this as maybe 150. Either way, it works. Next, let's click on this heading and hit enter so that we will go to a new line. Now let us add a block and browse all. This time around, I want to select this post grid / carousel. And then I want to select this layout for the featured blog post for this category. There are other layouts, feel free to play around with it. But for me, I will select this. So as you select this, by default, it will show 6 posts. And to edit that, let's click on settings. Now we don't want so many items. So over here from 6, we want to reduce it down to 1. And let's scroll down to the layout settings. Under the columns, from 2, we want to reduce down to 1 as well, so that it will look like this. Now, this post is selected by default because this is the latest post. And to pick a specific post to be placed here, let's scroll up. Under select post by, we want to open this up and select individually. And then let's click on select post. So you can select whatever post you want. If you have lots of content, you can search for a keyword. This is for you to easily find your posts. Now, whatever that is highlighted in yellow, that's what you have selected. Like for example, this. You have to be careful because as you click on any post, they will be selected. But we don't want all this because all we want is one featured blog post. So we'll remove all this and make sure this is the only one selected. Let's click on the select button. And here we go. If we want to add a button right here, let's scroll down. Under read more, toggle this on. We can change the text. We can change the background color of the button. Change the border color as well. And change the look of the hover. And we're basically done. Let's update this and refresh. And here we are. Now we want to add some space between this header and this featured post. So let's click on this heading. Let's select spacing settings. And then because you have selected the heading, we want to add some padding to the bottom of the heading. Let's add maybe a 50 pixels of padding. And we can see there are some white spaces here. So let's update and refresh and see how it looks now. I think it's looking good. We want to maybe add more wordings here. So let's click on this post grid layer and then let's select excerpt. And over here, maximum number of words in excerpt. The maximum number is 55. Anything more than that, it doesn't add on. So 55 is the maximum. Let's update that, refresh. Now let's amend the image. I think this is too big. So under the post grid layer again, let's select image settings. Under the image ratio, let's select maybe 1:1. Update, refresh. I think it looks better. Now let's add 2 columns of post grid. So to do that, let's click on this add block. Let's add another row layout. And let's select this 2 equal columns. On the left column, let's add block. Browse all. We want to select post grid. And let's select this layout. Let's click on the settings. Let's first edit the layout settings. We want to put only 1 column. And then we want to have a maximum of 3 items. And this time around, we want to filter by category. Because this is under the zero waste lifestyle category, let's select that. Now let's edit the image. Under image settings, let's put this image width as 30%. And then for the image ratio, let's do the same, square. And then for the title settings, let's expand this. The font size, I want to make it maybe 20. And then we don't want to show any excerpt. Let's first update and see how it looks right now. I think this is looking good. Just that we need to add some padding over here. And then we need to add a subheading over here. So over at our WordPress editor, let's scroll down. We want to get out of this row layout. So let's click on this. So let's add a heading, advanced heading. Make this H3 because it's a subheading. Let's align this center and bring this up by clicking this move up arrow. And let's update, refresh. This is too crammed together. We want to put maybe a divider here. So at our heading, let's hit enter. Let's add a block. Let's search for divider. This is from Kadence blocks as well. For the divider height, because this is too thin, we can't really see it. So we want to increase this to maybe 3. And now we can see it better. Let's move this up. Let's update this and see how it looks like. I think this is looking good. Actually, we don't need to add 2 columns over here. We can just use the post grid to adjust this. So now I want to take this opportunity to show you how to remove blocks. So let's click on this. Let's select this row layout. So you can see this entire row layout is selected where we have created 2 columns. Let's click on this options and remove block. And now over here, let's click add block, post grid. So let's click on this. Let's select this layout. We want a total of 6 items, which is correct. Filter by category. We want to filter it by zero waste lifestyle. And then let's scroll down further. Under layout settings, it has 2 columns by default. And for the image settings, we want to change the image width to 30%. And for the image ratio, we want to put this as square, 1:1. And for the excerpt, we want to remove that. For the title settings, we want to change the title size to 20. Let's update this and refresh. And we are basically done for this section. Just that we need to add some padding here. So let's click on heading. Under spacing settings, under the bottom padding, we want to add 50 pixels. Let's update, refresh, and we are done for this section. Next, we want to add the divider over here to transit to the next section. So let's select the row layout. And as you can see, once I selected the row layout, this entire section is selected. Let's go to dividers. At the bottom, we want to select the same design, change the color, and we want to add some padding at the bottom. And we're basically done. Now let's duplicate this entire section here. So let's copy, and over at the new layer, let's right click, paste. Now the thing is, we don't need the top divider. So let's select the dividers, select top, let's remove this, and then let's see if we need the bottom. I don't think we need the bottom as well. Let's remove this as well. Now the thing is, we need the background to blend in to the top divider over here. So let's select the background settings, change the background color to blend with the previous divider. And obviously, we need to change all the text. So let's change the heading color. Let's select the post grid, the title settings. Let's change the title color to white. Below title meta, which is this over here, we want to change this to white as well. There are no links here unless you have the posted by the author or something like that that adds a link here. Then you need to meddle with this. But otherwise, I'll just leave it as it is. And for the excerpt, we want to change the color to white as well. Now for this second section, this will link to this baby products. So over here, let's change this to baby products. And let's select this post grid. Let's select post. Let's search for baby. So let's select this as the featured post for this category. And then let's scroll down further. Let's click on this title over here. Change this to white. Change this title as well. And then let's click on this post grid. Let's do the necessary. Change the title settings. The title color to white. Below title meta, change the color to white as well. And I think we are basically done for this section. Let us update and refresh. So as you can see, I've accidentally selected 2 featured posts. And that's why we need to click on this, select post. We need to remember to remove this by clicking on it to uncheck the yellow highlight. And then let's select. I am not sure why the excerpt is not white color. Let's update again. Maybe there are some bugs. So here we go. There are already some bugs. So all I did is just to duplicate this and remove the previous, and then we'll get this result. So next over here at the post grid, we want to change this. So I don't have a baby category, but I have a baby tag. So every single post you can add tags and you can add categories. And if you want all the posts that have the baby tag to appear, you need to quickly go to your WordPress dashboard. Let's open up a new tab and let's go to posts, select all posts. Then let me open this up a little. So basically over here, if I want to add a tag over here, I don't need to click edit because it will take a lot of time to load. And all you need to do is just add a tag. So all you need to do is just to click on quick edit and add a tag here. So for tags, it's a little different. You don't necessarily need to create a new tag under the tag section here. It's unlike categories. For categories, if you don't create categories, all this will not show. But for tags, you're free to create new tags. But for easy management, don't create new tags unnecessarily. Always try to reuse a tag. So if you have never used tag before, you can just type in any text and update. The new tag will immediately appear over here. So these are the 3 tags I've created. Let's go back to the element. So I want to filter by tag. I want to select the baby tag. And that's basically it. We have completed the second section. Now let's create the third. So it's a white background, and to minimize any customization, I want to select this section and make sure that this row layout is selected, which is the base background layer. Let's click on options, copy, scroll down all the way over here on the new section. Let's paste this. So for the third section, I want to put this as personal care, and this will link to the third info box. Let me create everything and we'll link all this up. So let's scroll to the bottom. Let's click on this post grid. Let's select post. This time round, I'll make sure to uncheck this and I'll search for personal and I'll select this. And then I'll change the title for this. And I'll click on this post grid. I'll filter this by tag as well as personal care. So I've assigned the personal care tag to all these blog posts over here. Let's update this and refresh. We've quickly completed this and we are almost done. We just need a title here and let's change the design of the dividers. So let's scroll down all the way to the bottom. Let's click on this base row layout and then under dividers, we've selected the bottom. I'll select this. And then over here, let's add a new row layout. Let's do the same thing, structure settings, content max width, and over here select full width, and we'll add a 1 column row. We'll put the heading. The heading will be our latest post. And let's align this center. Give it a little top padding of maybe 150. And next thing is we want to select this row layout. We want to select dividers. And at the top, we want to select this divider. Change this color as well. And here we go. Using the top and bottom divider, I've basically created an arrow, which looks kind of cool. So let's update this. Let's refresh. And we are done. You see, this flows to the Blogroll over here. And this is where we end our hooked element. So now what we want to do is, if somebody clicks on this view latest articles, we want to bring them to this section over here. So let's click this, and over at the blog settings, let's scroll down to advanced. Let's open this up. You see this HTML anchor? Let's put any text just for your reference, but we need to use the same text for the link. For example, I'll put this as latest. Let me copy this and let's scroll up all the way to the button. Under view latest articles, under paste URL, I want to first add a hashtag and then I want to paste the text and then click apply. So let's update this and refresh. So let's test this. If I click this, it will bring me to our latest post. So let's do the same for the rest. For the personal care, HTML anchor, I will put this as personal. The text has to be the same, otherwise it will not work. So let's go to personal care here, and under this link, let's add a hashtag and paste the text. For the zero waste lifestyle, let's put as 0. Click on zero waste, add the link, hashtag, paste the text. And on the baby product, I'll put the anchor as baby, copy, go to this, hashtag, paste. Update, refresh, let's remove this. So basically, as your site visitor scrolls down, clicks on zero waste, it will bring them to the zero waste section. And if they click on the baby products, it will bring them to the baby product section. And if they click on personal care, it will bring them down to the personal care section. And similarly for our latest post as well. So we are basically done with the design over here. Let's now optimize for mobile. And all we need to do is to reduce the size all the way down to the minimum width of the browser. And this will basically represent how it looks on mobile. So let's scroll up all the way. Now I think the heading here on the mobile is too big because on mobile, you probably only see something like this and there's so much white space over here. It's a little wasteful for the above the fold content because we want to squeeze as much information above the fold. So for the header, we don't want to change the size for desktop. So over here, we want to select this mobile. We want to change the font size to maybe 30. Let's update and refresh, and here we go. And if we open this up, you can see the text of the desktop is not affected by the change for the size of the mobile. And the white space is a little too big, so maybe we want to reduce the mobile padding. So as we click on this, and as we selected the mobile, you can see that the mobile padding over here. Let's expand this, and let's put this as maybe 80. Let's update, refresh, and here we go. And if we open up, it doesn't affect the padding on the desktop. So next, I don't really want this image to show because on mobile, I just want to show this call to action here. The image is a little too big and is wasting the mobile space. So I will select this image, and under this section, right above the image, I'll click on this. Let's scroll down all the way, and then under visibility settings, I want to hide on mobile. So let me update this. And as I refresh, this image should be gone. And here we go. So this subheading is a little too big. So let's scroll down, click on this subheading. Since we have selected the mobile, let's change this to maybe 25. Update, refresh. Sorry, it's 25, not 35. Let's update and refresh. And here we go. This is looking quite decent. Let's scroll down further. Now, what if I want this 3 info box to be side by side on mobile? So let's scroll down all the way. Let's click on either one of this info box, and let's select this row layout, which contain these 3 info boxes. So under the mobile layouts, we want it to appear side by side. So let's select this layout. You can play with these other layouts as well. It's really up to you. Let's update and refresh. This is not looking good because I think there's too much padding and there's too much spacing over here. So we'll fix that. So under the column gutter, let's change this to 10 pixels. And then for the mobile padding and margin on the right, we want to make sure it is 0. And on the left as well, we want to make sure it is 0. Let's update, refresh. It's looking a little better. Now let's click on the info box. Let's go to the title settings. The font size for mobile, we want to put maybe 17. Let's do the same for the rest. Let's update and refresh. Looking much better. And then let's select the base row layout. And let's see the padding and margin. On the right and on the left, we want to make sure it is 0. Update, refresh. And this is looking much better right now. But maybe we want to give a padding of 10 pixels. So that we will have some spacing on the left and right. And there we go. I think this looks fine already. So let's go down further. So over here, I think the header can be a little bigger. So let's go to the mobile settings. We can put this as maybe 35. Okay. I think this is fine for the featured article. But over here at the bottom, we don't want it to look like this. So let's scroll down to the bottom over here. Let's click on this post grid and let's scroll down under image settings. For this move image above post on mobile, we want to toggle this off. And let's update this and refresh. And you'll see it looking like this. I think this looks much better. So for this section, we are done. Let's scroll down further. Similarly, for the baby product, the mobile heading, I want to put this as 35. And then for this as well, I'll go to image settings, turn this off. I'll do the same thing for the third section. And let's update and refresh. So for the baby products, I think it's looking good. Personal care, I think it's looking good as well. And we have the latest post, which I need to change this to make this look consistent. And we are basically done. We've optimized this Blogroll page for mobile. And it looks good on desktop as well. And basically, if you have the knowledge to create something like this, you have the knowledge to create something like this for all the other category pages. Because if you click on this element settings, and you click on display settings, if you click on this category archives, you can actually hook this element to any of these category pages. It is up to you how hardworking you are to create something like this for each individual category or maybe tags. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and you now know the power of using hook elements on your website. You can practically customize your site freely with the knowledge of this video, and all it takes is just practice. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you want more WordPress Gutenberg tutorials from me, you can check out the playlist at the top, and if you want to learn how to improve your site speed, you can check out the playlist at the bottom. All the best to you, take care and stay safe.